everybody. Welcome to the Clermont County Public Library's Booklovers podcast. I'm your host, Laura, and today I'm joined by Shayna and Jordan. Hey.
Hi. Hello.
Hey.
Today we're going to share some of our favorite cozy mysteries. And briefly, if you don't know, cozies are a subgenre of crime fiction. They're usually set in a small town full of quirky people. The amateur sleuth is usually a woman, and she usually has some type of a job where she comes into contact with a lot of people. So that might be a shop owner, bakery owner, caterer, or even a librarian. And they're usually gentle reads because all of the violence and the murder takes place off the page. So very much think Jessica Fletcher in Murder, She Wrote. Remember to check out the show notes on ClermontLibrary.org for links to all of the books that we're going to be talking about today. All right, Shayna, would you like to get us started?
Yes, I would. So my first pick is, I love the title. It's Death is Like a Box of Chocolates by Kathy Aarons.
I love that.
I do too. I'm a chocoholic. So the summary, best friends Michelle and Erica are celebrating the sweet rewards of their combined bookstore and chocolate shop by hosting the Great Fudge Cook-Off during the town's Memorial Day weekend arts festival. But success turns bittersweet when the town's portrait photographer is found dead in their store, poisoned by Michelle's signature truffles. Together, Michelle and Erica pick through an assortment of suspects before the future of their dream store melts away.
That sounds perfect, doesn't it? Not the murder part, but the bookshop and the chocolates.
Yeah, to have a chocolate shop and a bookshop with your best friend, that would be like my dream. But I probably wouldn't work. I just read and eat chocolate. I'd be the worst store business owner partner.
Well, it needs to be more like a hobby, right? You need to be funded by somebody who has a lot of money so that you can read all of the great books while eating chocolate.
Exactly, yeah. So it's the first book in the chocolate-covered mystery series. I haven't read the other books, but I really enjoyed this first one. I mean, it's got friendship, it's got the coziness of like the bookstore and the chocolate shop, and just the way that the author describes the chocolate shop. It was almost like I could smell the chocolate. Like, you know how when you walk into a candy store and you just smell the fudge and the chocolates and you're just like, oh. So she did a really good job at that. I could almost like smell the chocolates through the book. Yeah. And the plot was pretty intriguing too. Like, I've found cozy mysteries before where I'm like, I figured it out in like the first few chapters, and then I'm like, yeah, I was right. But this one, I was actually really surprised at who committed the crime. So it definitely keeps you going, and it shocked me, which I like in a book. I don't like to figure it out all the time.
Oh.
It keeps it interesting. So yeah, it was a good little cozy mystery.
All right, good. So Jordan, your first pick?
All right. So all of the books that I picked out are the first books in a series. The first one I have actually read. It's called Brownies and Broomsticks by Bailey Cates, and it's the first book in the Magical Bakery Mystery series. Let's see. So the summary for this first book is, while working at the Honeybee Bakery, named after her Aunt Lucy's cat, in Savannah, Georgia, Katie Lightfoot notices that her aunt adds mysterious herbs to her recipes. It turns out these herbal enhancements aren't just tasty. Aunt Lucy is a witch, and her recipes are actually spells. When a customer is murdered outside the Honeybee Bakery, Katie's Uncle Ben becomes the prime suspect. With the help of handsome journalist Steve Dawes, charming firefighter Declan McCarthy, because there's always, a love triangle, and a few spells, Katie and Aunt Lucy stir up some toil and trouble to clear Ben's name and find the real killer.
That sounds fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm new to cozy mysteries. I just started reading them this year. This is just the second series that I've started, and I'm currently on the fourth book. So I really enjoy it. I feel like of the cozy mysteries I've read, these are probably the most like intricately written, and they're in the bakery and they talk about, everything like that they make in the bakery, and also their little extra ingredients because they're also witches. So they make pastries that give people happiness or prosperity and stuff like that, just based on whatever it is they add. So it was really interesting to read what their intention is in the book and how everything in their lives kind of comes together in that bakery. And it's just a really nice, cozy mystery book series. And it always blows my mind how many books are in a series. It's like, how many people get murdered in this small town?
Right? And that the amateur sleuth is always the one finding the body.
Yeah.
And you just think, oh my.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they have to have some serious PTSD.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
I feel like authors need to incorporate that at some point. Like, when it's like book 12 and it's like the 18th murder. Like, it needs to, like,
right.
What do you do for your main character?
That's a lot of dead bodies to stumble over.
Yeah, they're having nightmares and cold sweats. Jeez.
Right?
Yeah.
Jeez. Okay, so my first series is The Cookie House Mysteries by Eve Calder, which is a relatively new series. The first book, and then there were Crumbs, came out last year. Sugar and Vice came out this year, and I believe that the third book is due out next year. So after losing her job at a Manhattan restaurant and breaking up with her fiance, Kate decides to start fresh, as one does, and she moves to this coastal island town, small, quirky, of course, because you need that for your cozy mystery, called Coral Cay, Florida. And she takes a job at the local bakery called the Cookie House, working for the crusty and curmudgeonly owner, Sam. But of course, it wouldn't be a mystery without a murder. So Stuart Lord is a real estate developer, and he's pressuring Sam to sell the Cookie House. Sam says, absolutely not. They have a big argument about it. And later, Stuart turns up dead with a box of Sam's cinnamon rolls that he was eating. So, of course, Sam is the prime suspect, and the police arrest him. And it's up to Kate to rally support for Sam and figure out who the real killer is before strikes again. So this one ticks all of the boxes: small town, quirky residents, amateur sleuth, plus bonus cookies. There's recipes in this. So I really enjoy it. I think the series has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, I love how, I get jealous of these books sometimes, the characters, because I'm like, that town does not exist, and I want to find a quirky little beachy town and work in a bake shop and be happy. I mean, I don't want to find a murder, but...
I love, she's just moved to this town, and already she has like a new best friend who owns the shop next door, and she's meeting all these fabulous, quirky people, and I'm like, I don't know. That never happens, which I guess why this is escapist fiction and makes me happy. But I'm like, I just so want there to be a place like that in real life.
Yeah, I've always felt that way with Nicholas Sparks books, because it's always a town that's like a small coastal town, and the main character is always like super poor, yet they somehow manage to get this amazing house. And I'm like, that doesn't happen.
All right, Shayna, got another one?
Yes. So this one, I really like this series. I read the whole series. There's only 3 books, so it's a short cozy mystery series.
Yeah, it is.
And a lot of cozy mysteries I've read, they've always been like the baking, right? Like the chocolate or the cakes or the cookies. This one, I really liked it because it was different. It's Mexican theme. So the main character works at her family's Mexican restaurant. So it is called Here Today, Gone Tamale. It's a fun pun, by Rebecca Adler. So the summary: after losing her newspaper job and having her former fiance unfriend her on Facebook, that's not good, Josie Callahan scoops up her chihuahua, Lenny, and goes back to her hometown, Broken Boot, Texas. Maybe working as the head waitress at her aunt and uncle's Tex-Mex restaurant isn't exactly living the dream, but it is a fresh start. Business is booming as tourists start arriving for the famous Wild West Festival, but when a locally jewelry designer is found strangled outside of the restaurant, Josie's reporter instincts kick in. Suspects begin to pile up and alibis begin to crack faster than taco shells. Another fun pun.
It is fun.
Yeah. So this book, like I said, it had a fun mystery in a different cozy mystery setting rather than the sweet route. It was, the Tex-Mex restaurant. And I really liked it because Josie, she's starting over, she's starting fresh, and she's not starting fresh as a reporter, she's a waitress. So if you've ever been a waitress, sometimes that job is tough. But it's her family's restaurant, so she's got family, she's got old friends in the town, and there is a bit of a love interest that starts to develop. But yeah, I really like Josie. I like how her character, she's very, she's thrown into this situation that she didn't ask for, and she just perseveres. And so it was fun. There is a part where her fiance ends up returning, and so that was kind of like, that was a fun part of the book. But yeah, I really recommend it, and definitely because of the Chihuahua, Lenny, who was an important part of the book.
Yeah, another thing I've noticed with cozy mysteries is they always seem to have a pet of some sort, at least in most of them. In the Magical Bakery series, they're familiars, so they have a pretty active role. But yeah, the pets are always good, especially when they feature them on the cover art.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. Lenny is definitely on the cover of all 3 books in the series, and I think in the first one he gets kidnapped, and so you get very attached to Lenny from the first book. So it's good, it's cute, definitely cozy mystery, and it'll make you crave Mexican.
Oh yeah, I already am.
Yeah, it was
the
good.
title.
And it has recipes in it too. The first one I talked about, Death is Like a Box of Chocolates, it has some recipes too. So I feel like that's just like a given.
It is. It's a prerequisite, I think, for
it comes with the book. So
All right, Jordan, you're next.
All right, so the second one I have not read yet, but I just thought it sounded interesting, like something I might be interested in. It's called The Crepes of Wrath by Sarah Fox. Sorry, I'm going to laugh at all the puns. It's the first book in the Pancake House mystery series. So, summary. When Marley McKinney's aging cousin Jimmy is hospitalized with pneumonia, she agrees to help run his pancake house while he recovers. With its rustic interior and syrupy scent, the Flipside Pancake House is just how she pictured it, and the surly chef is a wizard with crepes. Marley expects to spend a leisurely week or two in Wildwood Cove, a quaint coastal community where she used to spend her summers, but then Cousin Jimmy is found murdered, sprawled on the rocks beneath a nearby cliff. After she stumbles across evidence of stolen goods in Jimmy's workshop, Marley is determined to find out what's really going on in the not-so-quiet town of Wildwood Cove. With help from her childhood crush and her adopted cat, Flapjack, there's the pet, Marley sinks her teeth into the investigation. But if she's not careful, she's going to get burned by a killer who's only interested in serving up trouble.
I like that description. That's good.
Yeah.
So for my second series, I chose The Cupcake Bakery Mysteries by Jen McKinley, and she actually has a couple of other cozy mysteries. I think one is set in a hat shop in London, which is not everybody's dream job, be a milliner in London. And her third one is The Amateur Sleuth is a Librarian. So in this series, the first book is Sprinkle with Murder, and BFFs Melanie and Angie are finally living out their dream as the proud owners of the Fairy Tale Cupcake Bakery. And their first big order is 500 cupcakes from a fashion designer. So obviously they're super excited about that, high profile. Except that the Bridezilla wants original exclusive recipes, which is making Mel crazy. And of course, they have a big argument about it. that people witness because they do. And so when Mel finds the bride's body and she's dead because of a cupcake, obviously Mel is the prime suspect. And it's up to her and Angie to find the real killer to save Mel from jail and their business from crumbling before it's even gotten off the ground. So I think there are, I'm actually not sure. I know there are several books in the series so far because the last one came out earlier this year. I think it was Pumpkin Spice Peril. So these are always full of delicious descriptions of cupcakes, and there are always lots and lots of recipes that I always swear someday I will make, and I don't, which descriptions always sound so good because they're always like, oh, what's in the cupcake case today? And their friends are always coming in and mooching cupcakes. It's like, oh, I'm sure that's not how owning an actual bakery is like, but they're like, oh, yes, because Angie comes from a big Italian family and has like, I don't know, a dozen brothers. And so they always come in and they're like, oh yeah, sit down, have a cupcake, take two.
It takes a lot to make those cupcakes too. So I love cupcakes.
The cupcakes, and then they've got the filling, and then they've got the frosting, and then they've got the decoration. So I'm sure those are time consuming to make.
Yeah. Oh, I love a good cupcake mystery book.
Yeah, they're good. They're fun.
Yeah, they are fun. That sounds good. I think I've seen Pumpkin Spice Peril. I think I had it on display here for fall because the cover was very cute very and fall, and it was very pumpkin spice. So
it was.
So yeah, I'll have to read those. I haven't read those.
They're
ones.
fun.
Yeah.
All right, Shayna, do you have another one?
I do. Yeah. So this one is it's a cozy mystery, but it's another one that is, it's not like the bakery one, which I find them interesting. It's just unique. So this one is called Death in a Budapest Butterfly by Julia Buckley. And so the summary is, Hannah and her family run Maggie's Tea House, where they specialize in a European-style traditional tea service that is heavily influenced by the family's Hungarian descent. So that was another cool part of the book. You got to learn about Hungarian culture. It was neat. But what really draws in the customers is Hannah's eccentric grandmother, who is known for her remarkable ability to read the future in the leaves at the bottom of their customers' teacups. Lately, her readings have become ominous. Hannah is an avid teacup collector and takes pride in a rare butterfly cup she owns. So a butterfly cup, it's a design for a teacup. So it kind of like folds out, and they describe it in the book. They're really pretty if you ever Google them.
All right.
And they're rare. So she collects them, and there's this one cup that she's like, that's like her favorite cup, and she takes pride in it. But the exquisite cup soon becomes the center of a murder investigation. Of course it does, because it's her favorite teacup. When it is suspected of delivering poison to one of the customers. Hannah is determined to find the true killer, exonerate her family, and reclaim her beautiful Budapest butterfly, which is the cup. So yeah, this book was really good. It's the first in the Hungarian Tea House mystery series. I just really liked it. I really liked the Hungarian folklore. It's kind of got some of the paranormal aspect to it with like the grandmother, like being able to read the leaves. And, it was it was different. It was unique. And there's a bit of a romance.
Of course.
A bit though. It's not much, but I've read other reviews and for the other books in the series, and eventually there is like they do end up being romantically involved, but I kind of like it that it like gives you a peek at it, because sometimes I feel like books are very heavy on the romance and it starts too fast. I really liked it. And Hannah, the main character, she was just so much fun. She was very relatable. She's young, she's 26, single, which her family gives her tons of crap for, like much to their dismay. She's single, right? And in the Hungarian culture, it's like, oh no, you need a husband. And
of course.
she's just very down to earth, and she's very cool. She lives alone with her 2 cats, Anthony and Cleopatra. So she was just a very relatable, very realistic character. I really liked her. So it was a good one. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Jordan, anything else?
I have one more. This one I'm currently reading. I'm just a few chapters in. I really like it so far. It's called Apple Cider Slaying by Julie Ann Lindsay, and it's part of the first book in a cider shop mystery series, which I think is relatively new. I think there are only 2 published at this point, but I'm really enjoying it so far. As soon as I saw apple cider, I was like, yep, this is one that I definitely want to read because I could live off of apple cider. I love it. Mm-hmm. So it takes place on an apple cider orchard, like family owned kind of thing. Let's see. So for the first book, Blossom Valley, West Virginia is home to Smythe Orchards, Winnie and her granny's beloved 25-acre farm and family business. But any way you slice it, it's struggling. That's why they're trying to drum up business with the first annual Christmas at the Orchard, a good old-fashioned holiday festival with enough deliciousness to satisfy apple-picking locals and cider-loving tourists alike. Until the whole endeavor takes a sour turn when the body of Nadine Cooper, Granny's longtime grudge-holding nemesis, is found lodged in the apple press. Now, with Granny as the number one suspect, Granny as the number one suspect, Winnie is hard-pressed to prove her innocence before the real killer delivers another murder. So Granny's the main suspect in this one.
I love it when they do, like one of the elderly, like either grandma or grandpa, and their nemesis. It's just so funny to me. I'm
it's funny.
Oh, and that's a brutal murder. Like normally
cider press.
Yeah, normally I was expecting it to be like the cider was poisoned, or
it's usually poison. It's usually poison of some sort, but and it happens. I think in the first chapter, or first or second chapter, I was like, oh, okay. This is happening already. Like they introduced the character and then she was gone. So
that's bad for business to have a body in your apple press.
Not so good.
And she was there. What happens is the main character, Winnie, she's there with a banker visiting because she wants to open an additional shop to sell cider year round because there's only so much they can do throughout the seasons. And then they lose money like over the winter because of that. So she's there with a banker to get a loan for an additional part of the business. And then she's like, oh, the door to this building is open. I'm going to go close it. And then that's where the body is. And the banker sees it before she does. And it's a whole
traumatized.
Yeah.
All right.
That sounds good.
So, fabulous group of books. Thank you, Shayna and Jordan, for joining me today. And thank you to our listeners and viewers. Remember to subscribe to the Clermont County Public Library's YouTube channel, or find the Booklovers podcast wherever you get your podcast and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss an episode. Visit clermontlibrary.org for links to all of the tasty books that we've been talking about today. And remember, reader, read on.